Hello there. This is an introduction to bulbs and batteries, circuits, current electricity, whatever you want to call it. To start with, I'm going to have you predict what would it take to just light a bulb with a battery and 0, 1, 2 wires. So take a look at these 10 circuits. I want you to think about which of these 10 is going to let the bulb light. So hit pause and make a prediction. All right, so you've got your prediction about which one's going to light. Now I'd like you to stop and think, what made you predict that? What was it about those circuits that you think will light the bulb that made you say, yeah, that one's going to light? You said that one's going to light because it something, something, something. So think about what that something, something, something was for you, because that's going to be helpful in figuring out how bulbs actually light, right? So you have your predicted out of the 10, and it turns out that only one of the 10 actually will light the bulb. So if you have to break down your prediction to only one of them, which one do you think it would be? It turns out it's number 4. Number 4 is the only one that actually lights the bulb. So what the heck is going on with that? Why didn't others? I mean, there are others that look like number 4, really similar. What's going on? Well, let's think about why some of them do light the bulb, some of them don't light the bulb. With number 4, we had the battery, and then a bulb, and then a wire going to the positive end. And then we had a lot of other ones that didn't work. What were some of the things that made you say it isn't going to work? So now I want you to go back and think about why you said, oh no, this one will not. Because it doesn't have what? Because it doesn't do what? What are the pieces you think are needed in order for a bulb to light? Well, in many cases, a lot of times people say, well, there needs to be a complete circuit. We don't know what that means, but it sounds good, right? So often people say there's not a complete circuit. And circuit is an interesting word. It actually, the root of it is the same root as the word circle or circus. It's circle, you know, it's like a big round thing, a loop. And when we talk about a complete circuit, that's what we're talking about, is a complete loop that's not broken anywhere. It doesn't go like here and then jump over there and then back here and then jump over. No. So when we talk about a complete circuit, are we doing something with this one? Yeah, we'll see in a minute. What else? Another common thing that people think about is that, well, we know we need to use both ends of the battery. So we have to use both positive and negative ends of the battery. All right, that kind of makes sense because, you know, if you stick a battery halfway into a battery holder, like in a flashlight or something, you know it doesn't work until both ends are in there. There's one more piece, and I'd like you to look at those 10 circuits and think about the bulb now. What's true about where the bulb is hooked up in number 4 versus all the other ones that didn't light? Take a minute, think about it. The interesting thing is that for number 4, we use both the tip of the bulb and the threads of the bulb. We used 2 parts of the bulb. Now you can go back and check that with the others, they either didn't use both the tips and the threads, or they didn't use both positive and negative ends, or they weren't a complete circuit. So these kind of are the ideas related to what we need to make a bulb light with a battery and some wire. If we kind of put these all together, we would say to light a bulb with a battery and a wire, you need a complete path of, now here's an interesting gap I'm going to leave. Oops, how about say complete path of something that goes from one end of the battery to the other. And let's see, from one end, this is a lot of writing, from one end of the battery to the other, because we know we have to use both ends of the battery, and it's got to be a complete path that goes from one end of the battery to the other, and it goes into one end of the bulb and out the other. So we've got a complete path into one end of bulb, out the other end of the bulb. So what this means is I can actually trace a line, and I can go from one end of the battery. I tend to start with the positive. And is there a complete path that goes in one end of the bulb? Yep. Out the other end and gets me back to the other end of the battery. There we go. Now, another interesting piece here is that what is this? What is missing here? We could have a complete path that goes from one end of the battery to the other. That maybe goes through something else. Let's say I put a wooden block here. All right, so if I put a wooden block there and hook the wire up to the wooden block, is that going to light the bulb? I think you have the right answer. I think you said no way. Your instincts are good here. What is it that is needed? Why wouldn't the wood light the bulb? We need a complete path of what? Electricity has to be able to flow here. So we need a complete path of conducting material. It has to allow electricity to flow. It has to allow the flow of charges through it. So the extra piece is right there. Complete path of conductors that goes from one end of the battery to the other and goes into one end of the bulb and out the other. That's not very well phrased, but it does cover all of the pieces that we need. It has to be a complete path of conductors. There's our circuit. We got to use both positive and negative ends of the battery, and we've got to use both the tips and the threads of the bulb. So that is just a basic introduction to how to light a bulb with a battery and a wire. Isn't that exciting? So I'm going to put a link to a simulation in the comments, and if you want to play around a little bit and see for yourself that, yeah, if you make this situation, put a wire there, blah, 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 and you can even add non-conductors, insulators, into the circuit if you want in the simulation, and go play around and see if this is it. I'll give you a hint to if you want something to guide your playing around with. There are 3 other ways that you can light the bulb. 3 other ways to light the bulb using only one wire. With only one wire. So this was one way where, let's get the wood out of there. Let's make it all conductors again. Okay, so if we have, all right, zoop, there we go. There are 3 other ways that we can arrange a battery, a bulb, and one wire and still get the bulb to light. So if you want to do some playing around, try that. All right, there you go. Good job for watching.